Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pain Scale. I am your host, Pain. If you do notice anything about me, I did cut my hair. It's time for me to grow out a new fro, fresh and nice. um, and also, I know it's been a while since I have posted. I know a lot of people have not really seen my videos, so if you're one of the few that have watched some of my past videos, thank you very much, and yeah, welcome back. But to you that are just viewing it now, mainly I talk about on my channel here different life stuff and different. There's a lot of things that people aren't willing to talk about, which I think that's very important to do, especially in today's world. So, but today is going to be a life tip video, and it's going to be entitled. I may change it, but it'll be called Life Tip. People get worse as you get older. And I feel this is important to talk about is because it's because of this. There's a lot of things that I've been really seeing lately, whether it being from Donald Trump being a fucking asshole or the P Diddy trial. And it's like I know a lot of people aren't bad on their level, but there's still a lot of bad people out there. And it makes you realize like people at some point people basically worshipped these people, Donald Trump, P Diddy, um, and now it's like they're seeing past their facade. They're seeing past the glitz, the glamour, the money, all that type of stuff, and it's I think that made me question not only how many really bad people do we meet really in a day or really in our whole lifetime, because people wear masks, and if you don't know what masking is, it's basically this isn't a textbook dictionary, but this would be my what I would say what masking is first and foremost. Masking is oh, very sorry, excuse me. Masking is when people just they hide their true self. That's the first thing about what masking is. They hide their true self. And some people do that, not for malicious purposes. Some people do that to try to fit in, which I don't think that's a good thing. You should, if you're different, if you don't fit in the box, that's a good thing. There's so many people that we live in society with that try to fit a certain mold and aren't willing to be themselves. But if you're willing to break out the box, if you're willing to be yourself, that's so important. Do remember that. But then the other side to the masking, which is the opposite side of trying to fit in, the extreme part is hiding how much of a let me say how much of a piece of shit you are. There are so many people that do that, and just put on these facades. It's ridiculous. The kind of people that we live in this world. I mean, when I say that, I just mean human beings. I'm not talking about certain nationality. I'm not talking about American, European, wherever you come from. There's plenty. I'm talking about human beings in general. There's so many human beings that put on that mask to um, just try to they're openly pieces of shit, but at the same time they're putting on a mask of a good mask. They're saying like, oh, like, well, I'm a piece of shit for a good reason. There's a lot of people in this world that do that. If you're I'm right now I'm 28. It's like I'm thinking back now. Like if you're 18 or 17 or whatever you are, like just getting out of high school, like that's when especially when you start working too, that's when you start to realize how really bad people can get. And it really, once you get out of that whole school mindset, like, oh, like all you need to do right now is just focus on school, focus on your math test, focus on your English test, all this, once you throw that mindset out of the window, it's like a whole new world opens up to you. If you're self aware too, let me say, you really do have to be self aware to see how bad people are. And some people might say, like, oh, that's cynical. But yeah, I can be very cynical. I'm not on this channel. I do not lie. I'm a very cynical person. And some people say, "Oh well, don't forget you were a bad person." I was a fucking horrible person in my past lives. And I know some of that comes from being raised, by two fucking horrible people and being around very toxic people at school and having some very toxic fucking family members. That also contributes to it. I'm not taking the blame off of myself, but I realize, what the fuck contributes to that. And you really need to realize that too, So I was a bad person. If you watch some of my past videos, I'm sorry. If you watch some of my past videos, I'm for sure I mentioned at some point I was a bad person, and I still can be a bad person. Not to the extent that I was, but it's different when you recognize you're a bad person, try to fix it, and then there's the people I'm talking about where they realize they're a bad person and they feel okay with being a bad person. And usually these people are they're business people. They're some sort of a part of some sort of religious group, or really people at work. It's a lot. Let me sit here and tell you. Um, some of the worst kinds of people. Really, the people, it doesn't necessarily have to be business. As long as it's for money or the benefit of profits, people might say, I'm not a bad person. If I'm charging, somebody that just had a heart attack that they couldn't control, almost damn near $500,000, to fix them up at the hospital. Like, yeah, that's just my job. That's another thing. It's just my job. Saying some people say don't shoot the messenger. It's like I can understand that if it's a good message, but if you're sending out a message for a bad people or evil people or a evil group of people, um, I mean, you're part of that evil group. You're not by any means, free of sorry, any oh god, wow, sorry. I was like, I had the word in my head, but it's like it just went away. Um, you're not free from any ridicule. Like if you are a part of a system that negatively affects people or lies to people, you're just as guilty as the people in charge. Um, yeah, I was about to say that's my personal belief, but no, that's just reality right there. Um, and yeah, it's like you just start to see these people like as you get older again. Like once you start, if you work 9 to 5, or if you gotten out of 9 to 5, if you're doing your own thing, fantastic. But it's like evil isn't exclusive to a 9 to 5 or just people in power. People in general can just be fucking evil. That's just the reality we live. That's just the planet we live on. That's just the people we live with. Human beings can just be very fucking evil creatures. And it's really sad. I guess it's really I don't want to say it's sad. It's really bad to see, because it's like it's weird. Like human beings can be like so weird. But there are genuinely good people out there. Not everyone is a bad person. There are genuinely good people. I feel like I know of just a few good people. And while some people that I hear talk, it's like, do you hear some of the shit they say? It's like I start to, the more self-aware I become, the more people around me I start to question, like friends, family. It's like like, have you heard some of the shit that you say? So it's Yeah, just growing up, probably people say like, oh, when you grow up, you gotta worry about bills. No, it's like you gotta worry about people when you grow up. That's the real issue. It's yeah, it's bad. And it's some people tell you, it's Generation Z or Gen Alpha, or it's gonna be Gen Alpha. All this different type of shit. No, it's bad people just didn't start existing. And oh, excuse me if you heard a Discord notification there. um, but sorry, not to take the seriousness away from this, but yeah, if you oh wow, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Um, but yeah, people just get the more you start to see when you grow up, the more you start to say like, wow, like this is the world that I live in. Um, but it's just it's honestly it's kind of a hard subject to talk about without going too hard, because I can go very hard in this, because I've just ever since I was a young kid. Again, I'm 28, so since I was about like 6, 7, 8. That's when I started to really see. Or maybe even a bit before that. You know, that's when I really started to see the worst of human beings. Especially in my family, people around me, and religious people, in religion, and these people in charge. That's something I also wanted to mention too. Um, Originally, I was gonna say this for another video, but I think it's just maybe I still will do a video about this. But ever since seeing all these these bad people in charge, it's across the world, from the United States to Asia to Africa to Europe to wherever. It's like the people in charge. They are they're really bad people, and it's like ever since watching the Diddy cases, the P Diddy cases, it's like it's made me question like what is the real pinnacle of like humanity or human beings? Because it's like you would think like, oh, the standard, like, oh, I'm richer than everybody, I make more money than everybody, I have a better car, and I've got a better house than everybody. I think that's painted to be the real pinnacle of humanity. I think the real pinnacle of humanity, though, is um, trying to see how much control. Like, I'm not saying, that's everybody. Like, I don't want to fucking no. Like, shit, we're free. We live in a society. We're free fucking creatures on this planet. We can do whatever the fuck we want. But there are people like P Diddy or politicians. I think they think that's the pinnacle of society, like seeing how much control you can exert, or how what you can really do against somebody, like how you can turn like a whole just a whole country against that's I think that's the real pinnacle for people. It's not just money; it's to see how much control you have over people, and yeah, those are the worst kinds of people. But hey, we live in a world full of human beings, and it's until people decide to, the smart people, the yeah. If there's one thing that I honestly believe in the Bible, it's the meek will inherit the earth statement. That's the only thing I believe from the Bible. The meek will inherit, because I believe there are so many quiet people in this world, but so much important things to say, and to say about people too. I think that's one thing that's not discussed enough. Um, we um, in public, like we really do, because it's like we just like you just can't ignore it. It's like I guess some people believe in that shit. Like, oh, like if you see something, like it's like no, no, like they're in charge. They're no. If you see somebody do something shitty or really bad, you need to say something. I think that's so important. Like we need to start saying something about these bad people, so we can really alert the world. Like, hey, like these people are could potentially fuck up the world for us. Like, it's like with global warming or shit, like, just over consumerism or just shit like that. It's just, people really just need to start sticking up and, standing up for themselves and really, for the other really good, for the good people of this world. Because again, well, I don't know if I said this video, but if I did, sorry if I repeated myself, but um, I don't think there's really many good people in this world. I know a few people that are like truly, I believe are truly good people, truly honest people, truly caring people. Um, but I can't really say that really about anybody else I know. So it's wild. Like, I guess maybe the count of good people on the planet Earth can possibly be counted maybe just to 1%, which maybe that's too much. Maybe it's like 0.1% or something like that. On genuinely caring fucking people in this world. Um, you know, so yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this video off here. If you are watching this, thank you very much for tuning in. This is the pain scale again. If you would like to comment down below, feel free to. And thank you very much. Have a good day.